Right, hello everyone. Welcome to the second video about fitness testing. Thank you for joining me. Today we are going to look at a very particular type of fitness, set of fitness testing, and that is going to be fitness tests that are designed to measure aerobic endurance. Now we could call this aerobic endurance, we could call it aerobic capacity, or even aerobic fitness. But what do we mean by the term aerobic endurance? We mean this. The ability of the body to supply enough oxygen. And not just to supply enough oxygen, but we mean it to working muscles in order to withstand long periods of repetitive exercise. The ability of the body to supply enough oxygen to working muscles to withstand long periods of repetitive exercise, such as running, cycling, swimming. So, what tests have we got? Well, we have 4 tests that we're going to look at. We have maximal tests, and we have sub-maximal tests. Now I said we're going to look at 4. And the 4 that we're going to look at are the multi-stage fitness test, MSFT. You probably know this as the bleep test. We also have a variation of the multi-stage fitness test, or the bleep test, called the intermittent yo-yo test. The intermittent yo-yo test. And we have our final maximal test, the 12-minute Cooper run. And our 4th test is a sub-maximal. Now, sub-maximal means we're not working as hard as we possibly could, or perhaps that's the wrong way to say it. Perhaps it is working as hard as we can, but we're not going to exhaustion. We could continue doing it. And that one is called the Harvard Step Test. So we've got maximal tests where we're working to completion or to exhaustion, sub-maximal tests where we're probably not working to exhaustion unless we are very, very unfit. Okay, let's scroll down and let's look at the first one. We said the first one is the multi-stage fitness test. Now, our multi-stage fitness test, as we know it, is also called the bleep test. Now, I want to show you a little picture. And that image, if you'll bear with me, this image is going to show you what we actually mean by the bleep test. I've just got to find it. Here it is. I'm going to bring it across so we've got it over here as well, and it's there for us to keep. Here's our multi-stage fitness test, and you can see we've got somebody running between 2 sets of cones. So the participant runs between cones or lines 20 meters apart. The intention is to reach the cone on or before each bleep. Now you can only leave the cone when the bleeps happened. However, if the participant does not reach, if the participant misses 3 bleeps, I'm going to underline that, 3 bleeps in a row, they are withdrawn. So they're withdrawn from the test and the test is over. And whatever level they'd reached is the level that they are given. Now our scoring is level and sub-level. Now as we go up, these beeps get faster and faster, and as each level goes up, much like in a computer game, the more levels you do, the harder it becomes. So level 1 is much slower in the beeps than level 9, where it will beep much faster. So we could reach level 9, and our sub level is the number of shuttles we do on that level. So we could be 9.4. That number gets taken and compared to a table, and that table will tell us what the estimated, and I'll write this down, the estimated VO2 max is of that athlete. Now VO2 max is the volume of oxygen max is maximum. So it's the maximum volume of oxygen that this athlete can use at any one time or supply to the muscles. Now, what's good about this test? We call these advantages. Well, it's cheap. Other than needing some cones or some lines that are exactly 20 meters apart, all we otherwise need is a recording of the bleep test. And do you know what? If you look on your phones in your app store, you can even find free apps which have got that on. You can also test a lot of people at the same time. You're only limited by how many people you can get in a line. Obviously you don't want people shoulder to shoulder, they need to be comfortable to run, but if you've got a very wide sports hall, for example, you could put 20, 30, 40 people on the bleep test at a time. Disadvantages. Now the disadvantages are that results are definitely impacted by motivation and the environment. I'll give you some examples. You probably remember being at school where you had people who gave up on level 1, level 2 or level 3, and you'd think to yourself, come on, you can do more than that. They just weren't motivated. That's not their real score. It's not their real VO2 max. However, because they can't be bothered, that's the score they get. When it comes to the environment, what about the floor? What about the heat? What about equipment? What about the shoes, the type of shoes someone's wearing? All these things can have an impact on how well someone can complete that bleep test. Now, we talked about validity and reliability. I want you to consider, before next lesson, what's the validity of this test? Is it testing what we want it to test? And is it reliable? Is it a test that if we repeated it on a different day, yes, under the same conditions, if we can control them, do you think we would get the same results? What if we tested different types of sports people? Would the results still stand? Okay, test number 2. The intermittent yo-yo test. Now, this is a variation on the bleep test. And the reason that they created this was to test team games performers, such as basketballers, netballers and footballers, because they have periods where they don't just run at a continuous pace like in the bleep test, they stop-start. So they wanted to create a test that mirrored that matched it, and hopefully would become far more reliable, far more valid as a way of measuring. So I'm going to get a picture and show you how that is set up. So as you can see, slight difference. We've still got the 20-meter running distance, 20-meter cones, just like in the bleep test that we shuttle up and down. However, look what else we've got. We've got an additional 5-meter area. Now the way this works is that for here, for this shuttle, we go as normal. We go to the beeps. However, here we've got a walk. And that's rather nice of them to give us a bit of rest, but that's just like we have in those particular team games. So for every shuttle you do, you then do a 5-meter walk there up and a 5-meter walk back. And that will give us the intermittent nature of team games. So other than that, it is run exactly the same as the bleep test. All we then do is compare it to the intermittent yo-yo test table to give us our results. Now, advantages and disadvantages, exactly the same as the bleep test. So here, all the same things. And again, I want you to start thinking about, is it a valid test? Is it reliable? And the big thing I want you to consider is this a more valid test of aerobic endurance in netballers or basketballers than the bleep test? Which will give us the better results, the more trusted results? Okay. Rifling on to number 3, the 12-minute Cooper run. Now, I'm sure all the geniuses amongst you have worked out this is a run for 12 minutes. And you're going to run as far as you can in 12 minutes. You run around a running track. And that's quite important because it's got to be flat. Otherwise, the variations in height, where you're running up or downhill, could have an impact. So around a running track or a flat oval. And the fact that it's a flat oval is quite important because you are going to place markers at set distances. Now I'm going to get you an image to show this off. So as we can see, we've got a running track and we've got markers every 100 meters. So if we were to start here at the start line and we were to run on the inside lane, excuse my drawing, I'm sure I could get that even closer into there if I took it much slower. We know we'll be doing 400 meters. Well, that's presuming we didn't have all the wobbly zigzags. So if we run a straight line on the inside lane, we've done 400 meters. However, keeping score of that and saying, well, I've done 400 meters, 800 meters, 12, or I've done 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, and so on, is quite difficult when you're running along. So what we do is we actually only count how many 100 markers we've gone past. If we did 12 markers in 12 minutes, we just times it. So we would actually just do 12 times 12. And I'll let you work that out. What is 12 times 12? That will tell us what? Is that correct? Is that how we're going to work out our distance? Well done, all of you. You spotted what I was trying to catch you out with. It's not 12 by 12. 12 markers in 12 minutes will actually be 12 markers times by the distance, 100 meters. That will give us that distance in 12 minutes. I hope you were eagle-eyed and I kept you awake there. So that's how far we've run. And again, we take that score and we compare it to a table that tells us what that really means in terms of our VO2 max. Okay, advantages. Again, it's cheap and you can do lots of people. Disadvantages. Well, again, motivation is a problem, but also the more practiced you are at this, the better, because you'll be able to pace yourself. Your pacing will be better. You'll be able to work out at what point you're going too fast or at what point you're going too slow, so that when you hit that 12 minutes, you've given everything you can. Okay, finally, the Harvard step test. Now this involves you stepping on and off a platform 20 inches high. You do this for 5 minutes, and every step is over 2 seconds. So you step up and down every 2 seconds. That means you do 30 steps per minute. And a step is up and down, remember. Once you've done that, you will need to sit down and measure your heart rate, or more specifically, the heart beats. And you're going to measure it 1 minute to 1.5 minutes, 2 to 2.5 minutes, and then you're going to take a third reading between 3 and 3.5 minutes. So you might get 90, 80 and 70, and you expect that because our heart rate will start to go down because we're resting, remember. So finally, we're then going to do a calculation, and we're going to measure our fitness index, FI. Now, our fitness index is 100 times the amount of seconds that this lasted for. Now, 5 minutes is equal to 300 seconds. So it's 100 times 300 divided by 2 times the sum of the heartbeats that we measured. So 2 times the sum of that. Now at this point I'm going to bring my calculator up, and we're going to work this out. So up here, 100 times 300 equals 3,000. Sorry, 30,000. 30,000. Now I need to work this bit out first, remember. So it's going to be 2 times whatever this is. 90 plus 80 plus 70. 90 plus 80 plus 70. You can all see what I did there. Use the wrong button. It's that. So 30,000 divided by 2 times 40, 2 times 240 even, is 480, which means that my score here is going to be 30,000 divided by 480, 62.5. So my score for my Harvard step test would be 62.5. And I can compare that against the chart that tells me what that means in terms of my VO2 max, the maximum amount of oxygen my body can process and supply to the working muscles. So I'm going to leave you here with a few thoughts. Advantages are that it's cheap and minimal equipment. disadvantages. Well, the height of the platform may vary, but also biomechanics. E.g., if you're 6'5" like me, getting up onto a 20-inch bench, and up here we said it's a 20-inch high bench, that's about 50 centimeters. If you're 6'5" like me, that is significantly easier than stepping up onto a same size bench if you were only 5 foot. So a 5 foot person will have to use more energy. It's harder for them to get up there than it is for me. So that's going to have an effect on results. So can I ask you please again to consider validity and reliability. Is this a valid test? Is it a reliable test? Is it one that I can repeat and get the same results? Is there anything that I need to control that may need to differ? And I want you to do this, please. Think about different sports people. Think about different types of people. Thank you very much. We'll see you in class, and I look forward to going through some of these ideas with you. Bye-bye.